Alrighty, can I get some confirmation you guys can hear me? It's always a problem. Always a problem. You joke about goosephobia. It's on this tier list. I'm not joking about that. Alright, dang. I think that's in reference to me. Okay, I think the cult leader of butter, is that what I am? My volume's a tad high? Okay, I can lower that a little bit. I think the music volume is also just very low. Just raising that up a bit. That should be better, right? You guys can hear me over the music. I just feel like maybe it's because it's Luigi's Mansion music and it's really not that loud. Wow, yeah, that music is very quiet. Go with something like that, maybe. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay. Let's get spooky. It's good now. Also, we're your cult members. This is what fan base is called. Oh, jeez. Well, I guess I'll embrace it. Why not? Alright. Let us swoop to our thing here. Oh, I have it turned off. Nope, turn on. Thwomp. There we go. Now I gotta remember to keep it here. Oh right, before I do that, let's just open this up again. Here's a link to it in the case you want to play along. I think that could be fun. So there is, yes, literally 100 phobias here. Has Halloween ever fallen on Friday the 13th before? No. Because it's always on the 31st of the month, right? But I bet you Thanksgiving has, and like a lot of other holidays. Okay, that's perfect. I was just looking at the thing to make sure that you can see them all. I made all of these. Myself, like all of these images, and I have a pretty decent understanding of each phobia. But if you have that specific phobia and you're like, that's not how it works, then tell me, and that'll be funny. Fear of bald people, Z tier. Okay, that one's not on here, but there's a lot of other ones. So I'm gonna do my best to try to pronounce them. A lot of them are so long that the words got tiny, like Achendroplasiaphobia. That one's really small. But yeah. So let's start. This is sort of my scale here, because I feel like some of these are just justified fears. Fear of butter ain't on it. It's true, it's not. But fear of geese is. At the top is justified fear, because some of these, it just kind of makes sense to be afraid of them. Like, can't really argue with that. Can be scary sometimes. This is probably going to be the stuff that I know is an irrational fear, but is one of mine. Makes me feel uncomfortable. That would be like some bugs maybe, or something like that. Not frightening, but understandable is for stuff where it doesn't affect me personally, but I can understand why people don't like it. And then irrational phobia is for the weird stuff that probably, I call it brain allergies. It's like something happened when you were probably younger that made you not like this thing, even though it doesn't really make sense for you to not like this thing. All right. So let's start with Achievement-phobia, which is the fear of success. It's more so like the fear of the pressure and expectation that comes with success. So I guess that kind of makes sense. So I'll put it in not frightening but understandable, I think. I have the fear of tier lists that rank phobias. Oh no! I should also say that too. There is going to be an image for every single phobia. So there's a good chance if you have a single phobia, you will see something that triggers that phobia. I try not to make them too crazy, but just so you know. Oh, I don't remember this one. Hold on. It's like Achendroplasiaphobia. I remember what it is. It's essentially the fear of tiny people. So somebody had a bad experience with Stuart Little. All right. That's just why we have Gulliver's Travels here. Fear of tiny people, unfortunately, that extends to like little people in real life, which is a bit sad. I don't think that one has much basis other than maybe not liking like the borrowers or something, you know? Pretty much, yeah. I have to run from those people. Interestingly, though, it doesn't apply to children, as far as I read. Just to, like, adults who are smaller than people think they should be. It's kind of wonky, but hey. Acrophobia. This is the fear of heights, obviously. I think that one's pretty justified. Well, okay, we'll do can be scary sometimes, because if you've got a fear of, like, a diving board, then maybe not. But something like this, where, like, you know, you're really high up, I think that's pretty fair. I think that's pretty fair to be scared of that. So yeah. Aerophobia. The fear of airplanes. Or like flying on airplanes, more specifically. Heights can be pretty scary depending on the situation. True. This one, I think I can put can be scary sometimes. Well, no, I'll put it here. Generally, airplanes, they're pretty safe. But there's always that chance that something bad could happen. And with luck like mine. Aerophobia, I think it makes sense, but, you know. Agliophobia. This is the fear of pain. To an, like, intense degree. Like, not just regular fear of pain. I mean... I think I can put that there. Because, you know, it makes sense, after all, that there would be people who have, like, a neurotic fear of pain. Safer to fly an airplane than drive in a car, yes. Since most pilots are trained and drivers are not, yeah. I have severe phobia of pain, and I say it's very justified. I mean, alright. I mean, yeah, it's... Alright, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. This is from, like... Maybe, like, the phobia thing itself isn't, like, perfectly justified, but a fear of pain makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? So, hey, we got a nice spread here. Come on. That's a bad joke. Agoraphobia. This is the fear of large social spaces that you can't easily escape from. So, like, being in a crowd where you can't leave the crowd easily. Like, you'd have to move by people. I imagine it would also apply to something like a movie theater, something like that. On a plane. You know what? That's also true. It's basically just a fear of being stuck with a bunch of random people without being able to leave. Which I guess makes sense. It can be kind of uncomfortable. But, probably not, like, you know, too crazy. Electoraphobia. This is the fear of chickens. I'm putting this here because I kind of get it, you know? Chickens are, like, erratic in the way they move and stuff. Phinisophobia, the fear of penguins. Oh, I see. That one's not on here. Sorry. But hey. There's so many like specific animal phobias that I just put on the ones that are apparently the most common. Anyway, Electoraphobia. I kind of get it because of the way they move. It might like trigger some weird stuff in your brain. But you know. They're chickens. Like you can punt them across the yard. Pingu is pretty terrifying. You know what? That is absolutely true. Allodoxophobia. This is the fear of other people forming an opinion on you. Or like other people having negative opinions about you. I think that one probably goes here too. It's basically just a social anxiety, right? Chicken tendies. That's not how it works. Has to be a living chicken, or at least like the body of a living chicken, not like processed meat sticks. Hey. All right. Anatidophobia. This is the fear of ducks and geese. Basically waterfowl. And you know what? I kind of get that one too. Geese are rude, okay? They are very rude, and they are very territorial. And, you know, that it would apply to ducks is just kind of because they look similar. Chickens are vicious. True. See, this is what I'm saying. So I could definitely see somebody having, like, an adverse childhood experience with a goose and having it sort of scar them for the rest of their life. Not too bad. I think I kind of get where it comes from, at least. You know? Androphobia. This is the fear of men. Which I guess I understand. It's another social anxiety type thing, right? Because, you know, it's mostly in women, this kind of thing. Cult of goose. Yeah, and all the geese are in a cult, so it makes a lot of sense that you want to, you know, get away from them. Androphobia is basically just a fear of, you know, people you ain't. There's, like, a lot of reasons why I imagined it could form. Like, there's a lot of movies where, you know, a dude does some bad things to a lady. So it makes a lot of sense. Tanko has androphobia. Probably. You know? Which, if we extend it even farther, we have Anthrophobia, which is just the fear of human beings. That one, again, pretty rough, but I kind of get where you're coming from, you know? People could do anything to you. I can't trust anyone. You know? That kind of thing. My mom and sister walked up to some geese with their babies to take pictures, and by some divine intervention, they weren't attacked. Maybe geese like babies. I don't know. I see Astrophobia on there. That's my worst fear. It's so loud. The flashes are so sudden. You never know when it's going to bang or flash and might strike something you liked. Well, let's do that one right now. It seems like we're talking about it. Astrophobia is the fear of lightning. I think that's a pretty justified fear. I'm going to be honest. You never know if there's going to be worse weather up ahead. Lightning is destructive. And even though it's sort of like Aerophobia, where the chance that lightning is going to destroy something near you is so slim, I feel like it's, you know, slightly more likely than a plane crash. And also, it's like a force of nature, right? You've got, like, literally zero control over it. And it can kill you. I mean, a plane crash can kill you too. You know what? Maybe these two are more similar than I thought. Maybe I'll put them here. Because the odds of it actually happening, probably pretty slim. But there is some basis to, like, be afraid of it. You know what I mean? Achendroplasiaphobia is the fear of emotional connections, essentially. Like, the fear of emotional moments where you have to put in some emotional work You know what I mean? Intimate moments is, I think, how they put it. I guess that's sort of like a social anxiety, so I guess I'll put it here. People are responsible for pretty much all human suffering. Well, these days, anyway. Apophobia. That's the fear of bees. Let the bees be. They ain't doing nothing to you. Later we have the fear of wasps. That one, I get that, you know? Wasps, they're assholes. But bees, they're just doing their thing, dude. Just let them be. Aquaphobia is the fear of water. It's like the super general, over-encompassing version. Like, you can be anywhere from, like, fear of open water, fear of deep water, fear of water in general. So it's kind of hard to rank it. So I'll put it here. There are some situations where water can be scary. There are quite a lot, actually. But for the most part, water's not that scary. Wasps are evil, bees are fluffy. See? This is what I'm saying. Next is Arachnophobia. I chose a tarantula for this picture because I feel like they're the least scary spider. I don't know if that's true for anyone else. I have, like, a little bit of arachnophobia. But I feel like it's from the way they move. Well, I'll put it in justified fear. Because there are spiders that can kill you. There's the black widow up where I live. I've seen one in my entire life. Beast insect. Very good. Spiders, they move weird. That's basically the entire reason why most people are afraid of them, I think. They've got 8 legs and they, like, shuffle around and they can crawl anywhere. And it's that weird, like, itchy sort of feeling about it. But the spiders themselves, obviously, they're not a big deal. The spider's fluffy too. See, yeah. The spiders themselves, not a big deal usually. Like, most of the time, they can bite you and you'll be itchy for, like, a few weeks. Or a few days, but that's it. Not to mention the absolutely humongous and harmful spiders in Australia. Yeah, that's why I'm putting it here, because there are spiders that can kill you. Like, it's not unjustified. It kind of makes sense why human beings, as, like, a species, there's a lot of people that have this fear. But for the most part, spiders are harmless. I don't know. As for the reason why I think tarantulas are less scary than the other ones, is that they're bigger, they move slower, so there's less of the weird movement thing, and they're just bigger, so you can kind of see where they're going and stuff. I'm more scared of hurting the spiders than the spiders themselves. Flying spiders in Brazil, oh, don't even mention that. the huge spider nests in Brazil, yeah, I'm never going there, sorry. They can be cute, yeah. Most bugs, I think, can be cute if you just stop thinking about it too hard. Alright, astrophobia is the fear of space in general. Like the vastness of space, things that can come from space, like meteors. I think that one's fairly justified. Well, it's sort of on the same level as the plane and the lightning. Likely, space is not going to affect your life literally at all, but there's a chance that it could. So... there are 2,000 to 5,000 people bitten by black widows a year. 4, maybe 5 people die a year from them. Yeah, it's true. They can kill you, though. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know. There are worse spiders than the black widow, though. That was just my example, because that's the one potentially deadly spider up here. I mean, you could die from, like, a lot of things, but hey. All the phobias start with A. It's just because they're in alphabetical order. Don't worry about it. Astrophobia is the fear of... what is that even? I don't even know. It's funny because their names are similar. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Astrophobia is the fear of space. I guess. It's like so unlikely that space will affect your life on Earth, but it does happen, you know. We had a solar flare here yesterday. It wasn't like a big one, obviously. But you could see the northern lights, apparently. I never saw them, but apparently you could. Agoraphobia? Something like that? Agoraphobia. Agoraphobia. That's it. It's the fear of forgetting things. That one... Sure, we'll put it here. It's not like a detriment, like an immediate harm, but I can sort of see where it comes from. There was some speculation in the article I was reading about all these things that it comes from people who had somebody in their life with Alzheimer's when they were very young or something like that. It makes sense, you know? And it can be, you know, a problem. But for the most part, it's not that big a deal. Like, it's not going to kill you, you know? Did I? Oh, no, I didn't. There's no space there. Never mind. Adichophobia, something like that. The fear of failure. This is sort of the same as this agoraphobia, where it's like, you know, it's most likely that, sure, you probably won't lose your entire future for failing a single test, but the way things are sort of built up can make you feel that way. I think my music just stopped. Yep. There we go. Astrophobia is the fear of astrophobia. I already read that. Dang it. Anyway, the fear of failing things, it kind of makes sense. There's a lot of pressure put on it from like school and things like that. But you know, it's not going to be the end of the world, trust me. Autophobia. This is the fear of being abandoned or left alone. I'm going to put this one here as well, maybe. It does sort of make sense, you know? We are a very social species, after all. So the fear of being left alone, it makes sense. But, you know, is fear of dolls on here? Oh, we'll get there. Basically any, like, fear that's in the mainstream is probably on here. So yeah, autophobia, not like crazy weird, but it makes sense. There's a fear of xylophones. That's not on here, sorry. Bananaphobia, though. I don't know how this one works exactly. It's a fear of bananas. Somebody had a bad experience with a banana when they were a kid, I guess. I don't know. I'm really not sure. Maybe it's about, like, the social thing when you're, like, in elementary school where it's like, haha, banana looks like a dick. He's eating a banana. Haha. I don't know. Like, I don't know where this one comes from. I can't really get it, so we'll put it there. Bazophobia. This is the fear of tripping and falling. We'll put it here. It's not, like, usually going to be a big deal if you trip and fall, but hey. Yes, that's why I'm ranking it, because it's Halloween. Yeah, you're right. Bananas are heavily inbred. Is that okay? I feel like they'd be afraid of, like, brown things that appear on them when they ripen. Because they slipped on one and got severely hurt. I guess. It's sort of possible, maybe. I've actually, like, tried to slip on a banana peel before. Because we were, like, trying to see if it actually worked when we were kids. And it wouldn't. So, it has to be, like, a sort of ripe banana for it to work, I'd imagine. But it could be that. A lot of these are from, like, popular media, you know? Like, it's like a trope that evolved into a fear. You know what I mean? I just put one somewhere. Right, bazophobia is the fear of tripping and falling. That can hurt. Like, that can genuinely, like, hurt you. But for the most part, it's probably not a big deal. Especially to the point of, like, you know, not wanting to use stairs ever. That isn't to say, like, oh, people who have this phobia are dumb. It's like, you know, for me personally, I kind of get it, but, you know, not a big deal for me. Next is bathophobia, which is the fear of depths, I think is how it was described. It's like low places, like valleys and underwater and caves and stuff. The tripping and falling fear probably led to the banana fear. No. Anyway, bathyphobia is the fear of depths. I mean, depths can be pretty scary. Caves and deep underwater, those are both pretty scary places. But not inherently frightening for me, anyway. Whoops. Alright. Tachymorphobia is the fear of fat people. I don't know about that one, man. What do you know about rolling in the deep? Nothing, okay? I only listened to that song like a couple times because it was on the radio. Iophobia. No. Which one is that? Fear of bananas getting shot with a banana gun from Smash. No. Is that to be my legacy? Banana guns and geese cults? Could be worse, I guess. Anyway, I don't think there's really much to go with on here. Maybe it's another brain trick thing, because your brain's like, I don't think people should look like that. But otherwise, I don't really know. There's a few eye phobias. Where are they? Iatrophobia, Ichthyophobia. That's it, though. Doctors and fish. Okay. Carcinophobia is the fear of someone you know or yourself getting cancer. And I guess that's sort of on the same line as... You know, I'm going to move these ones up, I think. We'll do that. Because that makes more sense. As for this one being... I hate that. Because I feel like this is the fear of, like... This is the tier, rather. The tier for, like... Probably not an overall issue, but there is, like, at least some pretty decent reasoning behind it. Yeah, it is pretty sad. It's likely caused by, you know, having experiences with cancer when you're little, you know, that kind of thing. Not great. I understand that one. Catoptrophobia is the fear of mirrors. I guess from, like, probably a horror movie? I'm not sure about that one, honestly. Maybe like, there's a dark world in the mirror. I'm not really sure. They just don't like mirrors, which is an interesting one. Chadophobia is the fear of hair, which I also don't really get. We got hair. It's not just human hair either. It's like animal hair too. Can't imagine listening to that song and taking it seriously. What song? Rolling in the Deep? Anyway. Chadophobia, meh. Some, like, a large, like, clump of hair can be kind of gross if you just find some hair somewhere, but, you know. I scare myself looking in the mirror, too. Imagine a barber with a fear of hair. Yeah, and it's their, like, sole mission to, like, remove hair from people. They're like, I'll save you from the hair, you know. Sebophobia is the fear of food in general, but I put expiry dates here because I think that kind of illustrates what it is. It's the fear of, like, bad food, getting food poisoned, or, like, choking on food. We all gots to eats, but I guess I kind of understand, you know, where you're coming from. Probably had a bad experience with choking when you were little. Something like that. Yeah, rolling in the deep. Maybe it's the head lice in the hair. There's so many, like, potential reasons, right? Next is claustrophobia. You know what? I'll put this in justified fear. I don't think there's many times when you are confined to a tiny space where it's not, like, a bad thing. Like, how many times have you been, like, confined to, like, a tiny little box and it's not been a bad thing? Probably never, you know? Like, even this guy who went into this cave willingly, like, if that cave does shift a little bit and he gets squished, he does get squished. Anything can kill you if you eat enough. I mean, I guess fair. Currently being shot 16 times in the chest and bleeding out of the kitchen door. What? What? Isn't claustrophobia the fear of Santa Claus? No. It's the fear of tight spaces. Come on. Where did that even come from, CJ? I don't understand. Claustrophobia. Fear of tight spaces. I think it kind of makes sense. Most of the time when you're in a tight space, it's not for good reason. Coaster phobia. Okay, this one's going in justified fear because what do you mean coaster phobia? Roller coasters are inherently scary. That's like 80% of the point. And I know it's like, you know, oh, they're scared of roller coasters even when roller coasters aren't around or like they're on one. But like, so? Like, is there like horror phobia where somebody's scared of horror movies? Because those are inherently scary too. I don't see that one. I just think it's kind of silly to be like, did I stutter? What do you mean? I think it's kind of silly to be like, oh, this specific ride that's meant to cause fear has a phobia about it. You know? Chlorophobia is the fear of clowns. This is like one of the first images that came up for clowns, and it was about a clown shortage. Clowns aren't really scary, but I get it at least. Like, these are a bunch of strangers that want to like interact with a bunch of children. It's like, yeah, okay, I get it. I get why it's not fun. Not all roller coasters are scary. I suppose there are, like, you know, nice roller coasters, but for the most part, the whole point is that they're scary. Cynophobia, the fear of dogs. I'm really sad it's not Canophobia, because that would just make sense. But, yes, fear of the Joker 2019. What? Oh, clowns. Gotcha. Fear of dogs. I've got a dog right here. She's asleep. Dogs aren't inherently scary, I don't think. But if there's a dog that doesn't like you or you had a bad experience with dogs, I guess I can see it, you know? But I think dogs are pretty, you know, chill. There's also Gatophobia. We might as well do this one now, too. It's the fear of cats. Same deal. Well, maybe a little bit less. I don't know. Because dogs can actually really hurt you. I guess cats can, too. It won't be, like, you know, deadly. Like, a dog can kill you, I guess, if it really wanted to. It probably won't. In fact, it, like, most likely won't. Cats can just scratch you up a lot, but it's the same deal. It's still getting hurt. Ah, corgi! Yeah. I mean, corgi, there's probably some really mean corgi out there somewhere. Dendrophobia is the fear of trees. And I was like, okay, how does that work? But it's the way the trees, like, grow. It's, like, weird-ass trees that are, like, really big and, like, winding around everywhere. For that one, I guess I can maybe see it. It's like a brain trick, you know? There's a few that are like brain tricks. Oxygen. It's not a fear of oxygen. You see where those fears come from? A fear of pain leading to a fear of dogs and cats. Yeah. Right. Skelinophobia. This is the fear of school. I know someone who had Gatophobia, specifically was terrified of their eyes. True. They do have weird eyes, I guess. Dogs kind of do too, if I'm honest. So, interesting. Birch trees scary. Birch trees are the weakest ones, though. It would be like giant redwoods or something. I don't know. This is the fear of school. I guess I can sort of understand that. I don't know if you can actually classify this as a phobia, because it's probably just, you know, like, oh, this kid is getting bullied at school, or they're not doing good in school and they don't like all the pressures of school, you know? I like to think some phobias have roots, meaning it started with one phobia and led to another. I suppose. I'm thinking of it more like, well, it's probably like one experience or something like that, but that could be also true. Generally with these kind of things, it's not like you just have one, you have a few. But yeah, that's Didascaliophobia. Whatever. Fear of grilled cheese. No. Disposophobia. Any hoarders in the crowd? This is the fear of throwing things away. I mean, I can almost understand where it comes from. Like, well, maybe this will be useful later. But nah. Throw away the garbage. Emetophobia. The fear of vomiting. I feel like I don't really, like, have a phobia around it, but I don't like vomiting. You know? Fear of loud sounds leading to a fear of thunder, and then, yeah, the previous one with the cats and needles and pain. Yeah. I feel like there's some on here. We'll actually get to one eventually where I was like, I didn't have this one until I looked it up. But, yeah. Completely blacked out memory where I was making myself throw up to avoid school. I get where it comes from, right? Vomiting is uncomfortable. But, you know, it's probably not, like, shouldn't seize your life. You know what I mean? Antomophobia is the fear of bugs, which I guess I'll put here. We've got a lot of specific bugs, but this is like just overall all bugs. Bugs are kind of creepy. I find them mostly cool, other than spiders. And centipedes aren't great, but they're better. I don't really like swarms of bugs either. Swarms of flies or whatever, that's fine. But like swarms of ants or something trying to crawl on you, nah, I'm not a fan of that either. But like, just in general, it's fine. Stick bug weak. Aquinophobia. I'll put this up with dogs and cats because a horse can definitely hurt you. But for the most part, they're probably not going to. Also, I don't like their teeth. Alright? I've never been afraid of horses, but I don't like their teeth. Ladybug is cute. There are a lot of cute bugs. Moths are cute. Even ants can be cute. Swarms of anything I hate. Swarms of dogs? I know that's not really a thing, but if it was. Ergophobia is the fear of work. I have to imagine this is more like the responsibility and pressures of work, not just working in general. So I'll put this one here. I guess that sort of makes sense. Gonta has people with Anatomophobia phobia. People with Anthophobia phobia? Yeah. Antomophobia. Never mind, I was wrong. Galiophobia is the fear of sharks. I get it. Sharks are scary. But at the same time, like, you know, how many times have you been in shark water? Probably not very often. You can avoid it pretty easily. But, you know, I get it. Gammaphobia, the fear of commitment. This is like, you know, basically the same thing as ergophobia. So I'm going to put it here. I tried to get a great image for this one. Gephyrophobia is the fear of bridges. And I sort of, it's like airplanes, right? I sort of get where this is coming from. Oh, what if the bridge goes out and then we fall and die or something like that? The odds of it happening, so slim. But I think it makes sense to be at least a little nervous on a bridge. The fear of fear, we'll get there. Fun fact, I actually didn't include all 100 from the list I was pulling from. I had a list of, like, that was supposedly the top 100 most common phobias. It certainly wasn't ranked in order. But a few of them were really repetitive. Like, there were 2 that were fear of crowds. There was zoophobia, which is the fear of animals and then all the specific animals. And zoophobia isn't the fear of all animals. It's the fear of certain specific animals. So I was like, whatever. So I added a few myself, and we'll get there very quickly. But yeah. The fear of victory and the fear of failure leading to a fear of work. True. Which one did I just put? Gammaphobia, the fear of commitment, right? Yeah. Where's the fear of long words? Because I find it so funny it's the 3rd longest word. Right here. Hippopotamonstrosis Why do they make it such a long word? I mean, it doesn't really make sense why you'd be afraid of long words. Maybe like a bad experience with spelling when you were younger. I'm not sure. Where, like, you know, somebody was being very like, you're so stupid, you can't spell this word. I don't know. But I think it's just cruel that they would make it such a long word. Why did you do that? That means every time they have to explain this to somebody, they have to think about this giant long word. It's very rude. It probably was intentional. It was probably some guy who was like, this is so stupid, and then he made it up. Zoophobia literally is the fear of certain insects, dogs, cats, and other animals. That's why I didn't put it on here, because it's literally like, it's a general term for these fears we already have. Where like Entomophobia is about all bugs, zoophobia can be about, just a couple animals, but it's just you have more animal phobias than one, you know? I can't say it, yeah. Spelling bee worst nightmare, it's true. Gerascophobia. This is the fear of aging, which, again, sort of like the fear of, like, airplanes and stuff, not entirely unfounded, but at the same time, you know, happens to the best of us, happens to the worst of us. In fact, it happens to all of us, so, hey. Dyslexia is so hard to spell for dyslexic people. Why do they do that? I don't get it. English is so cruel. Here's a weird one, alright, that I'm going to try to understand. Globophobia is the fear of balloons. Now, we were talking earlier about, like, Astrophobia being sort of about, like, the loud sound that can come from anywhere. I feel like that's the same thing for this. Of course, it doesn't really make sense. But when people pop balloons, it's kind of like, you know? So I can see people have a hard time saying stutter. Ugh. Lisp has an S in it. That's true. Why do they do this? I wish these people had just thought about it for a second before, you know, making up these words. But it's probably, globophobia is probably about somebody who was being a jerk and popping balloons to scare you when you were little. I'd imagine. Balloons can go heck themselves. Glossophobia. Balloons pop randomly. If you stomp on them, you know when the pop is. I mean, like, other people stomping on them to scare you. Balloon poodle is terrifying? You mean, like, balloon animals? Glossophobia is the fear of public speaking. I get it. It's not something that, like, you know, causes my heart to, like... But, I get it. It can be stressful. It's the sudden sound, yeah, I'd imagine. Gamerphobia. No, it's gammaphobia. Yeah. It doesn't really make sense, and I don't have it in particular, so I'm going to put it at the bottom, but I get where it comes from, you know. Gynophobia, the opposite of androphobia. I'm going to put them together, because I chose these pictures specifically to go together. It's the fear of women, which unfortunately, you know, can become like a chronic thing later in life. Yeah. Again, I guess it makes sense because it's the same as this thing. Well, maybe we'll put them in the middle. It's kind of funny. It's the same as anthropophobia. It's about, like, you know, people taking advantage of you or whatever. But it's probably not a big deal in reality, you know. Hemophobia is the fear of blood. I think that's pretty justified. If somebody's bleeding, probably not good things are happening. You know what I mean? Blood, when it's my own blood, I'm usually fine. But if I see, like, somebody else bleeding, I get a little bit, not nauseous. What would the word be? It makes me feel weird, basically. So that one's one that's a little closer to my heart than some other ones. Get it? Because blood. But I don't think there's any scenario where somebody is bleeding that is probably a good thing happening. Maybe it's queasy. Maybe that'd be the word. I don't know. Iatrophobia is the fear of doctors. Again, not really... Other people's blood is gross. Same. Yeah, see, that one's basically justified. 3 people said it plus me, so, you know. Again, doctors, the fear is probably from, like, again, a lack of control and a lot of media where, like, doctors are like these scary things. It's like clowns, you know. Doctors are like clowns. They're just people that want to help you. I guess clowns want to help you. I don't know. Dracula is hemophilic. True. I mean, I guess if you want to say birth, that might be the one place where blood might be at least a little bit okay. Because, you know, it's about bringing in the new generation. But hey. Ichthyophobia is the fear of fish. Fish look a little weird. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like things with big eyes, alright? But most fish, not really a big deal. There are some fish, like the lamprey and stuff. I think a lamprey is a fish, right? It's not anything else, so it must be. Where, like, they can just stick to you and bite you and it'll be bad. But it's not gonna be, like, the end of the world. So, we'll put it there. Catsadariaphobia. No. Catsaridiophobia. Catsaridiophobia. The fear of cockroaches. I'm going to put this on the same level as fear of fish. It's not a real... It's like a thing, you know? I once got really bad cuts on my arm, and seeing my arm cut open was a very surreal moment. It's true, right? Especially when you're young, you know? Like, if it happened when you're a kid. Because it's like, I'm invincible! And then you get, like... Ugh. I actually had a moment like that. Which finger is it? It's this one. It's my left thumb. My mother was asleep, but I wanted cheese. Because I just wanted some cheese. So I was trying to cut it myself with a knife, and I was very small. And I cut, like, this chunk off my thumb. Not like a big chunk, but, like, the skin came off, you know? And I was bleeding, and I'm like, what do I do? I need a Band-Aid. So I snuck in there, took a Band-Aid, and then just sat on the couch for a while until she woke up. It was, yeah, you know? We were talking about cockroaches. Cockroaches, they can't really hurt you, but they are gross. I see not wanting them around. There's a possibility someone's scared of goldfish or betta fish. Yep. I've never seen a cockroach and dread the day I will see one. Cheese is good. Bloody cheese less so. Thankfully, I didn't bleed on the cheese. I just bled on the cutting board. Guilt cheese. Yeah, cockroaches, they're not great. They're definitely not a cute bug. I'll tell you that much. Here's a fun one. Cynomorphophobia, the fear of zombies. Or the fear of, like, a zombie apocalypse actually happening. We'll put this one down here. Zombies, they're not real. But, if they were, they would go up at the top, right? Here's another fun one. Compoundophobia. It's the fear of buttons. And when I saw that, I thought, like, oh, you know, like, buttons you have to press. Like, fear of, like, pressing the wrong button. No, it's like shirt buttons. Which I have to imagine is just because they're kind of weird looking. Like, they've got the holes in them and the patterns, and when they go over each other like this, it can kind of look like a weird pattern. So, I mean, I'm going to put it down here, but, you know, I don't know. If there's a lot of blood when you're bleeding and you're cut really badly, then it's a good time to be scared because your life is at stake. Yeah, true. Lepidopter Topterophobia. People know this scene from SpongeBob still, right? With the butterfly. That's why I put this here, because I imagine that is the root of a lot of this right now. This is the fear of butterflies specifically. Again, leave the butterflies alone. They're all right. But probably watch Coraline. That's a good point. Could be. Seems how we're talking about this cartoon origin of butterfly phobia. You remember Wormy and the butterfly? It, like, flies up on their helmet and then it does a super big close zoom in. Yeah. Most rational fears really just boil down to the chance of dying in a situation. Yeah, pretty much. Hey, somebody remembers. Yeah, I imagine that's why people have this fear still. Seeing a butterfly up close and you're like, they look so cute, but they're so scary when you look at them closely. I don't know. Just leave the butterflies to be, alright? Here's the first one I introduced. This is one I have. Megalophobia. It's the fear of giant-ass stuff. So, like, this is a sculpture of a dinosaur, right? And this guy is just kind of standing there beside it. I could never do that. I don't like giant things. And it's not like, it's not necessarily like, oh, that's a big building or something like that. It's like things that are specifically giant that usually aren't. You know what I mean? Giant eyeballs, giant statues, that kind of stuff. What did I just walk into? It's a phobias. The butterfly ate wormy. Yeah. Not megalovania. I knew somebody would say that. God damn it. Nobody can jive with my phobia because everybody's saying megalovania. But yeah, it's just stuff that shouldn't be big that is made to be big. Actually, you know what? I bet you I know where it comes from. When I was little, when I sleep, my body like gets really hot. It's just a fact about me. And so when I was little and we didn't really know that about me, I would overheat and have these really weird, like, delusional dreams. And I had one where everything in the world was getting very big and I was getting very, very small. And it's just a very weird feeling. But hey, I think that's probably where it comes from. But yeah, big statues, it's mostly just big statues, really. Return of the King. Metathesiophobia, the fear of change, and Luigi's Mansion stopped again. This one's on the same level as basically all the social phobias. It makes sense. Like, you know, change can be scary, but again, it's not like life-threatening usually. What is big things or being very small? Probably both. If we're being honest. Monophobia, leave the moths alone. Moths are cute, okay? I'm going to go out on a limb and say moths are the cutest insect. They're fluffy, and they've got the fluffy antennae. Leave the moths alone, okay? They can't even bite you. Alright? Musophobia is the fear, or I guess mosophobia? I don't know. It's the fear of rats and mice, which is very commonly portrayed in cartoons. I think it's really mostly about the way they move and like their mouths and everything. Like they skitter very strangely. I'll put it in uncomfortable territory. They're not like, I like mice in general. Mouthman, no. Lame. Jeez. I think mice can be pretty cute most of the time, but if you give me like a sewer rat or something like that, no, it's not good. I don't want it near me. So we'll put that there. Myrmecophobia. Maybe it's because some are rabid, but I don't know that for sure. I think it's mostly just the stigma amount around rats and mice is like, oh, they're disease carriers and they're gross hoarders of stuff, and yeah, they poop everywhere. I don't know. Because they're gross, mostly, I think. I don't know. Rats would quite happily eat you. True. Myrmecophobia. This is ants. I kind of get it. This is a picture of army ants. Army ants are kind of scary, but they can't do the thing like in Indiana Jones where they like buzzsaw a guy to death. Like they go bzzz and he's just dead. That's not how it works. But like a swarm of ants can be kind of like gross. They eat garbage. They toss garbage all around the ring. That's for rats though. Definitely because of fire ants. I suppose. Fire ants can bite you and it hurts. Army ants too, actually. But they're just ants. A single ant on its own can actually be pretty cute. Ants are cool as heck. I'll say that too. When I lived in the woods for like a while, right? And when I say I lived in the woods, I mean like we had a house that was surrounded by forest. So I was well acquainted with ants, you know. We had ant problems, in fact. But an ant on its own is kind of cute. It's just a little guy. He's trying to do his job. Bullet ants are terrifying. There are ants that are scary, but for the most part, ants on their own, they're just kind of little dudes. Mysophobia is the fear of germs. I think I'll put that in justified. You know what's funny about that, though? Is this phobia had to come to be after we learned what germs were. Either that or the phobia was generalized to like getting sick, and then we made it to be about germs. But somebody who's like obsessed with cleaning, who doesn't want to get sick, this kind of stuff, I think that's justified for the most part, at least right now. Not as justified as say claustrophobia or claustrophobia, but diseases can kill you. So it makes sense if somebody had like a bad experience with disease as a kid, that, you know, there we go. I guess this sort of maybe should be down here, because it does apply to like the common cold and stuff that won't kill you. But I don't know. People are now debating about the cuteness of rats. Very good. Nosocomophobia is the fear of hospitals. I don't think it's the fear of going to the hospital. It's the fear of hospitals themselves. Which I guess goes along with the fear of doctors. So I'll just put it here. Numerophobia. I don't get this one. I guess it's sort of the same as hippo monstrous long words phobia. It's the fear of numbers. Which had to have come from, you know, maybe being bad at math. I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm yawning. Oh, okay, I'm good. But numerophobia is a weird one. All right. Probably because of the number 13. Oh, we'll get there. There's 2 number 13 phobias, actually. Nyctophobia is the fear of the dark, which I'm going to put in completely justified. The dark is scary for evolutionary reasons, right? You know? Like, we don't see very well in the dark, so anything could be there. I think that's pretty justified. Even though, like, for the most part, like, you're not going to die for being in the dark. But I think it can be scary, and I think it makes sense why it's scary. So, hey. 11037. Not that one. Coward! What, about the dark? Or the number 13? No number 15? Number 15. Burger King foot lettuce. We'll get to that one, too. Ambrophobia is the fear of rain. I'll put it in not frightening, but understandable. I like rain. Rain's cool, but I've also never lived in a place where rain can mean like a tsunami. So, it's a little different, I'd imagine. Here's another funny one. Omphalophobia. What do you think it's the fear of? Trying to move around while it's dark could be dangerous, I suppose. It's the fear of belly buttons. I get it. Belly buttons look weird, but like, scary? I'm not sure where that one could come from. Amphidiophobia. Snake. Snakes can kill you. There's a lot of snakes that can kill you. But at the same time, I think snakes are cool. Pterotophobia, the fear of perverts. No, that's Androphobia. Wow, not exactly. Belly button. But yeah, snakes are fine, alright? Just because snakes can be dangerous, and I think it's a justified fear, doesn't mean I hate snakes. Snakes are cool, alright? Snake cute, snake, yes. Ornithophobia, the fear of birds. Or other winged creatures. I don't know. Maybe it applies to, like, mythical stuff. I guess it's the way they move, and, like, the idea that they could come at you from anywhere. Hawks do have pretty, like, scary claws. Hawks and eagles. But it's not like, you know, a bird can really kill you. At least I don't think so. Panophobia is the fear of everything. Literally. They can peck your eyes out. Can they, though? I mean, like, technically they could, but I feel like you could very easily defend your eyes. Pigeon. What does that mean? Bird up! Anyway, panophobia is the fear of everything. I don't know how that works. Apparently it's a thing, though. How can you be afraid of everything? That must be horrible. I guess maybe that's just a generalized anxiety disorder. Maybe that's what it is. Which in that case, I'd maybe put it up here or something, but either way, I don't think it really counts as a phobia. You guys are just making up phobias for characters now. Banquets. Oh, jeez. All right. There is no way I'm going to be able to pronounce this one. It is far too small. I guess I could zoom in. I just have to make sure I get to the exact same zoom I'm in right now. Paraskevidekatriophobia. That's right. Paraskevidekatriophobia. It's the fear of Friday the 13th, which apparently is pretty common, which I think is kind of crazy. I'm going to put it here. The reason people are afraid of Friday the 13th is because of superstition, right? And it's like, well, it's silly to me because I don't believe in it. But if I did, I guess it's understandable. Burger phobia, the fear of Q-Taro Burger Bergman. Hey, who was talking about the fear of dolls earlier? Here we are. Pediophobia, the fear of dolls and mannequins and stuff like that. I'm going to put this one up here because I feel like the fear of dolls comes from, like, the uncanny valley. They look human, but they ain't. And they stare like this. I picked this photo particularly because I feel like it highlights the two biggest things. The eyes that look real but don't, like, move like eyes do. And then cracks. Like a cracked doll. It looks so weird because it's like a human face with a crack in it. How does that work? Oh, it was Matt talking about the fear of dogs. Anyway, but yeah, I'm putting it in the middle because, like, justified fear, definitely not. But scary sometimes, I suppose. There are reasons why it can be scary. But it only makes me feel uncomfortable. Hey, do you like my image for Phasmophobia? It took me so long to make. Phasmophobia, of course, the fear of ghosts. I can get kind of uncomfortable around the idea of ghosts existing. Because, like, if ghosts just exist, what does that mean? Like, not even like, oh, it's a haunting or whatever, but like, when I die, am I going to become a ghost? Then what? I just get to wander around a place and scare people? That doesn't sound like fun. I predicted it, yeah. It's not crazy, but, you know, it's okay. Philophobia, the fear of love. This is another social phobia as far as I see it. It's basically the fear of commitment all over again. The fear of intimacy. It's essentially a combination of those. Plagiarism, the most useful tool for content creators. Shh. Here it is. Somebody was talking about the fear of fear earlier too. Phobophobia is the fear of fear. The fear of being afraid, I suppose. Which, you know what? I'll put it here. It's fair. Not wanting to be afraid. Is there a fear of letters? I guess the closest thing is the fear of long words, but I don't think specifically letters, no. Maybe certain letters. I'm not sure. It didn't pop up in my search anyway for the top 100. I think the fear of fear itself, phobophobia, we were talking about, I think it's all right. I think it kind of makes sense. But hey. Could also be a trust thing, heartbroken and afraid to fall in love. Yeah, pretty much. Banana. Fear of small people with the fear of bananas. Oh, dear. Oh, we're almost done. That's crazy. I guess I've been going for over an hour already. Phonophobia. We were talking about balloons, right? And how loud sounds were probably the cause of that. Well, this is the fear of loud sounds. I'm going to put this around, like, here. I've scared myself with loud sounds before. Doing videos and stuff. Like, in specific, the editing program I use, Premiere, it's a little bit quieter. Or, I'm sorry, it's a little bit louder than YouTube. So I'll be watching a YouTube video to find, like, the music I need. And then I'll download it, put it into Premiere. And then as soon as I press play, it's super loud in my ears. Do I see a foot? Yes. So I kind of get the fear of loud sounds. I don't have it, but I kind of get it. Photophobia. This is the fear of light. I imagine it's sort of the same thing as the fear of sounds, where it's like you're afraid of bright light. Hey, CJ, don't spam. Please. Loud sounds are okay if I'm in control of them. That's the thing, though, right? You're afraid of, like, sudden loud sounds, right? I'm going to put this one here. I'm not afraid of light, to be clear. And most of the fear of light stuff is apparently to do with, like, feeling like light is gonna burn your skin, or, like, it's some sort of, like, ray to control you or something like that. Definitely not that kind of thing. But I can see why, like, sudden blinding light might be something you're afraid of. Okay. Podophobia is the fear of feet. I'm going to go put this in uncomfortable. Feet can sometimes make me feel uncomfortable, especially with the sort of conversation around them these days on the internet. But inherently, they're not scary. To me, anyway. People with this, like, can't even look at their own feet, which, you know, it's kind of crazy. Paganophobia, the fear of beards. I don't get this one. I don't know. I guess it's like advanced fear of hair because beards are kind of sharp. Toe beans. I don't really get it. Thank God every day for not making me attracted to feet. Pseudodysphagia is the fear of choking, which kind of goes along with the fear of food. Fear of choking can kill you. I kind of get that, especially if you've had an adverse experience with choking. But probably not going to happen, so, you know. Beard... What? I can't even read that message, I'm sorry. It's a funny joke, but I can't even, like... Oh. It's over. Pyrophobia, the fear of fire. Okay. I mean, fire is dangerous in general. I feel like that's pretty fair. Fire... See, the difference between these ones up here and these ones down here is that these ones up here are always... Well, I guess arachnophobia has to move down then. But these ones up here are almost always a bad thing. Like, there's... Fire is always dangerous, no matter how controlled they are. Are you joking? Are you joking? But, you know... I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, how about the fear of frogs? Anatidophobia. Anatidophobia is, Frogs are fine. They do look a little weird. But, you know, that's all. Here's a fun one, alright? This is a fun one to think about. Snakes need to move down too. Fair enough. So these are like always dangerous potentially, and the next tier is sometimes dangerous essentially. Fire plus water equals Lake Erie. What? How much did you miss? If you just got here, then most of it. But you can always go back and watch it after, so don't worry about it, as always. Anyway, Samhainophobia. Can you guess what this is a fear of? No, Thanatophobia is not a fear of Thanos. Samhainophobia is a fear of Halloween. And at first you're like, a what? But when you really think about it, Halloween is a time when everybody dresses up in scary costumes sometimes and goes out and walks around at night. And there's a lot of like horror stuff associated with it. So people who don't like horror stuff don't like Halloween. I guess it makes sense. Bombardier beetles are cool. I don't know that I'd know what those are by name, but, you know, probably. There are a lot of cool bugs, alright. People gotta lay off bugs a little bit. They're not that rude. There's only a few rude ones. Alright. Sclerophobia is the fear of criminals, or the fear of crime happening to you. I feel like this one's pretty justified. But at the same time, like, the odds of it happening to you are so low. Not to mention there are random people banging on your door all evening. It's also pretty freaky to an extent. It's true. If you weren't, like, socialized into, like, accepting Halloween and you were just plopped into the scenario, it'd be like The Purge. A bunch of random people showing up at your house dressed in weird costumes in the dark. Yeah. Skelinophobia is the fear of worms. Let the worms do their thing, man. What's a worm ever gonna do to you? I guess it's probably the way they move, but at the same time, like, worms are pretty slow, too. They're not, like, fast. They can't really, like, surprise you, you know? I don't know. Again, I lived in the forest. There were a lot of worms after it rained. Worms are cute, alright? Worms are cute. I'll say it. The way they just, like, look around and try to get places, they're kind of cute. Here's a fun one. Sidonglobophobia. The fear of cotton balls. Bum, bum, bum. I don't even understand that one. I don't know where that could come from. Great, the butterfly ate wormy. True. I don't know about that one. I just don't get it. Somnophobia is the fear of sleeping. Now you might be thinking, what? But it's specifically the fear of being vulnerable while you're sleeping. And the fear of, like, losing control of the situation when you go to sleep. And that I kind of get. Where'd it go? Give me that. That I kind of get. Okay, this one, totally justified. Alright? Wasps. Sphexiphobia is the fear of wasps. Wasps can't kill you, but no situation where you're encountering a wasp will be a fun one. You know? You'll be, like, either trying to avoid touching them, or they'll be on you and they'll sting you. Because wasps are assholes, alright? They might look cool, but they are the asshole bug. I know someone who has that. It's weird. They do make disturbing sounds and feelings when you squish them. Who? Oh, the worm thing, right? Big birdophobia, the fear of big bird. Yeah, that's this one, right? That's the one I have. I suppose there is that about worms, but still. Enough wasps could kill you, I guess. Or if you were allergic. Either way, even if they can't kill you, there's still not a good time to encounter a wasp. Submechanophobia. Hey, this is my other big one. There is an image, and I would have got it for this. Oh, cotton balls. Interesting. The good thing about that is, like, you don't really have to use cotton balls very much these days, I suppose. They make It's not even that. It's like, I don't know. Interesting. I wonder if maybe it's certain kinds of cotton balls that make different sounds. Anyway, submechanophobia, because we always just buy the cheap ones. So, this is the fear of man-made things underwater, specifically. Which, when you think about it, doesn't sound that scary. But if you were to really think about it, there was this one image. It's my least favorite image of all time. And if you send it to me, I will block you, no matter who you are. It is a image of a Disney ride where it's an animatronic of a dragon, but it's underwater. And it's got like, I think it's from like, it must be from either The Sword in the Stone, Black Cauldron, or like Winnie the Pooh. It's like one or the other, because it's like a design that's very stylized, but it's got these weird swirly eyes, and like it's got the sharp teeth and everything, but it's underwater, and you just sort of see like the shape of it under there, and like its eyes looking forward. I hate that stuff, all right? I cannot stand that stuff. I can't. Subnauticophobia. It's sort of that too. We'll get to thalassophobia in a second. But it sounds amazing. It's not amazing, all right? I was going to search up the image to put it for the thing here, but then I was like, how do I search this up without giving myself nightmares for the rest of the week? Because I can't just search up dragon statue underwater, because then I'll get a ton of new ones, and this one already haunts me enough. The funny thing is, though, I feel like I might have like misinterpreted it a bit because I feel like it's probably not as scary as I remember it being, but whew, that's terrifying. I just looked it up while it is, okay? Here's the funny story of it applying to my actual life, all right? Seems how I did it for megalophobia. When I was like 12 or 13, we went on a vacation to Hot Springs, and the hotel had a pool. Woohoo, great. The pool had this giant drawing of an orca whale on the bottom. It was like a mascot or something. I could not go in the pool. It's a drawing. It was even cartoony. Like, it wasn't like a realistic orca whale. It was cartoony. But just this giant shape under the water that you can just sort of make out that has sharp teeth, that's enough. I can't do that. The other really bad one, I think, is there's that Jurassic Park ride where you go over the waterfall, and as you do it, like the dinosaur pops out from behind you. There's one of like a dinosaur underwater, and I think that's probably where it's from, is like the dinosaur, but it's like where it's hiding before it pops out. That was bad too. So yeah, don't send me any of those images. I'll just block you. It's honestly the one phobia I cannot handle. That's why I chose the image of the Titanic, because the Titanic, like, technically, it is a submechanophobia thing because it's a man-made thing underwater. But for me, like, it's just a boat. Boats aren't scary. Boats don't have sharp teeth. It's about like that scary imagery too. Okay, moving on. Taphophobia is the fear of being buried alive. I don't think there's ever a situation where being buried alive is a good thing, but at the same time, the odds of it happening are so low that I'm just going to put it there. There's only a few more left. Technophobia is the fear of technology. I mean, I guess understandable. It's sort of like the Halloween one, right? If you never really engaged with technology before, technology could be kind of scary. But at the same time, what's a computer gonna do to you? I don't know. Telephonophobia. I think there's a lot of people with this. In this like age where we can text each other and we don't have to be on the phone all the time. The idea of phoning strangers. That's all it is. But I feel like that makes a lot of people nervous these days. I mean, I can get nervous sometimes on the phone with a stranger. Boomer, what do you... Oh, for technophobia, yeah. I feel like it can be kind of uncomfortable these days because we're not used to it anymore. Amish. Amish is spelled with an A, by the way, but yes. So yeah, I think this one's pretty common these days, even though it's not really like that scary. The idea that somebody can mishear you, or like, you know, somebody's trying to scam you. I don't know. Thalassophobia is specifically the fear of the ocean. I feel like this one's pretty justified too. Humans, we're not really built for being out in the open ocean, right? And if you get stranded in the open ocean, what can you do? I don't like the idea of the open ocean myself. Phoning non-strangers is also difficult, I know. But I'm just saying, like, in order to understand it, that can be a good reason why. But, specifically for this phobia, it's phoning anybody, right? But you're right, I probably should have mentioned that. It's just, I think it's mostly about being misconstrued or being scammed or tricked or something over the phone. I'm not sure. Or just feeling awkward about it. Thalassophobia, fear of the ocean, I think that's pretty fair. I don't think there's ever a time when you're on the ocean that there isn't a danger that you could be murdered by the ocean. You know, a sudden storm happened. Have you heard about surge waves? There's a lot of stuff in the ocean that can mange on you. And the ocean's cold. You can die from hypothermia. There's a lot of ways to die in the ocean. People that work entirely on the ocean, I don't know how they do it. That'd be like working entirely on the air without landing, you know? Like barely ever landing for like months. I don't know about that. Thanatophobia, contrary to somebody's belief, is the fear of death. Sorry, the fear of death. Thanos and Thanatophobia are named after Thanatos, which is like the angel of death, right? I remember nothing about second grade other than that I met my best friend and that I had an argument with a teacher that it should be Omish instead of Amish. I see. Is that where that comes from? Anyway, Thanatophobia is the fear of death. I think that one's pretty justified. I know it's like an irrational fear of death, where like you're fearing death even in situations where it's probably not going to happen to you. But like, it could. There are a lot of ways it could. Oh, did you wake up, puppy? Oh, did you? Do you want to come say hello? Come over here. Yes, breathing heavily. Yes, breathing heavily. Very good. Anglerfish are terrifying. It's true. Any deep sea fish is going to be scary. Because it's just, I played Hades. I know who Thanatos is. Anything in the deep sea is going to be scary because it's nothing like what we have up here, you know? It's alien and weird. Anyway. Theophobia. The fear of God. And not like in the way religious people say it. We're like, well, put the fear of God in them. I mean, like, literally fearing that God is going to strike you down all the time and not going to churches in order to try to avoid God. All right, bye. Again, not frightening, but understandable. I suppose if you believe in God specifically, like a punishing God, and you did some bad stuff, I can see where that might come from. Tocophobia. It's the fear of pregnancy. It's basically like the fear of something growing inside of you, like a baby growing inside of you. Oh, big yawn, huh? Almost done. I guess I can get that. That is kind of a weird thing to think about, right? Even though we're so like adjusted to it. If we weren't, that would be pretty gross. Like, I don't like that. Hell, that's like half of the Alien franchise is horror about giving birth to things. I mean, the things that you give birth to can kill you, but hey. And you guys really are saying all the jokes I knew you would. Theophobia, the fear of someone named Theo. That's exactly what I thought when I heard it the first time, too. And then the megalophobia, megalovania thing. Anyway. Triskaidekaphobia. This is just the fear of the number 13, not just Friday the 13th. Because of its, What are you doing? Because of its associations with being evil. I didn't even realize the music stopped. Whatever, we're almost done. High schooler's worst fear. What does that mean? The number 13? Or Theo? I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like, what? Oh, actually, I'll put this in not frightening, but understandable. It is kind of irrational, but I understand where it comes from, at least. Trypanophobia is the fear of needles, and not just syringes, but like sewing needles and other pokey things getting into your skin. I think that one's can be scary sometimes. I mean, like, getting stabbed by something, I understand why that's scary. But, you know, generally not going to kill you. It's not actually something you should really be afraid of, but I get where it comes from, and I'm kind of with you on it. Here's another one I have. Yep, this one's probably the worst one, because it actually affects things. Vehophobia is the fear of driving. Driving, as we mentioned earlier, far more dangerous than most other forms of transportation. It's not really that bad. I don't have it that bad, but I don't like driving. You know what I mean? Hate jewelry needles the most. I'm not sure I know what that is, but I'll look it up after and see. Driving, lots of people die in car crashes. It's like the most common method of death. So that's the way I think about it. That's what gets me about it. Anyway, I'll say that. Yeah, I don't like driving, but hey, vroom vroom. You know what they say. I can never be a race car driver. Actually, maybe I could. Race car driving, I mean, is also dangerous, but I feel like there's a lot more, training and professionalism about it. You know what I mean? Oh, I'd definitely crash if I ever got behind the wheel. All right. Two very different final phobias here. Wiccaphobia is the fear of witches. Which I feel like probably I chose the Wicked Witch of the West because I feel like that might be where it comes from. It's like TV stuff, where witches are like, I'm going to steal your soul or something like that. But I'm gonna spoiler alert. Witches aren't real. Oh my god. I guess I'll put zombies up here too because it's sort of the same thing, right? If they were real, fear of them, totally understandable, but they're not. So. And finally, the fear of Wikipedia. Yes. Xenophobia. Now, most people probably know xenophobia as the fear of other races, but it's not exactly that. It's basically the fear of the unknown. But, leads to some pretty bad things going on. It's like a social phobia. So I'll put it here. But just know, not racism's not for racism's understandable. That's not what I'm saying. It's about fear of the unknown in general. It's just it also applies to racism, which is unfortunate. But fear of Wikipedia is the teacher's worst fear. That's probably true. But yeah, that's it. So, Agliophobia, the fear of pain; Claustrophobia, the fear of tight spaces; Coasterphobia, the fear of roller coasters; Hemophobia, the fear of blood; Nyctophobia, the fear of the dark; Pyrophobia, the fear of fire; Sphyxophobia, the fear of wasps; Thalassophobia, the fear of the ocean; and Thanatophobia, the fear of death, are the ones I think are the most rational. I'd be interesting if any of you did actually play along with that link I posted. If you want to send your version of the tier list to me on Twitter or something, I don't know, Discord maybe. You could put it in the Discord too. I'd be interested to see how you guys feel about this kind of stuff. And yeah, that was kind of a funny Halloween stream, right? Yeah, I'm going to go too. So thanks for watching. Leave a like before you go, if you would. A tip for your streamer. And subscribe if you haven't and you like today's stream. Woo! Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's just turn this off and say goodbye.